Good evening, folks. Hope you're all doing fantastically well. I'm going to keep this video as brief as possible. However, I did touch on this on my last Soccerverse video, and I'm going to go into more detail on a site that I use to identify or try to identify the best young talent in the football world currently, which will hopefully give me a bit of an edge over the rivals when looking to buy influence in young talent. Also, I'm fully aware there are users on Soccerverse that one might not even like football. They don't have any real idea on who the good players are, etc. But they might want to dip their toe into this side of the game where they buy influencing players. Because what I'm going to show you, anyone can do. It is very, very simple. So the website I predominantly use is transfermarket.com. I'll put a link below. And when it takes you onto the home page, the first thing you're looking at is market values. Scroll down to the most valuable players and then use these filters. So if you're looking for a certain position, you can put the position you want. So for example, if you only want strikers on your books, then obviously you would just search centre forwards. You can also put the year of the player that was the year that the player was born. But what I tend to do is use the age group, and for Soccerverse, I wouldn't go above under 19 preferably, because the whole idea is to find the young talent before they've actually became known in the footballing world. You can then filter nationalities if you want to, but that wouldn't bother me, whatever nationality they are, to be honest. The confederation they play in, so for example, UEFA would be all the European leagues. However, again, I want to search worldwide because Soccerverse is a worldwide platform with players from all over the world. So you want to capture as many of these players as possible. Now, bearing in mind the next batch of young players will be released, I believe, in July time. This will be pivotal when the new batch comes out to use a technique such as this. There are other ways of finding them, but this is what I tend to use. And I think it will become very, very useful the more and more Soccerverse grows. And I'm biased, but I've got no doubt about it. It will give you an edge against other competitors who are perhaps not doing it this way, or they're waiting a bit to see what other people are buying. The whole trick of anything is getting things early. And by doing this, this will allow you to do that. So when you've searched by age group, hit show, and then it will filter all the players who come under that category, which is basically all under 19 players. They will list them in order of what transfer market value them at. Now, if you Google how they work out the transfer market value of each player, it's a complex process. It's obviously not 100% accurate. It's people's opinions, basically, and other factors. But generally, you will find the most valuable players are the best players that are currently playing in world football. However, there are a few examples that I could give from years gone by. Jamie Vardy, for example, possibly the best counter-attacking striker that has ever played in the Premier League. If you would have searched him when he was under 19, he would have never come up because he wasn't even playing professional football at that precise time. I think he became a professional footballer in his mid-20s. So, of course, whatever technique you're going to use, players will um, slip by the net because purely that's just the way life is, really. But generally, the best players in the footballing world at this moment in time, especially under 19s, they will all appear on this list. And obviously, the better ones will be in the top 10, top 20. However, of course, when you go back to Soccerverse and look them up, Yamal, for example, is going to be far more expensive than someone who's going to appear, I don't know, number 20th on this list. So depending on your budget, on what you're looking to invest, if the aim of the game is just to get a few shares in the best players, then that might be your strategy. However, I like to take a bit of a gamble. I would look at getting more shares in cheaper players, because like I've said on previous videos, it just takes one player to go bananas and become the next Messi, Ronaldo. Then you're going to make a hell of a return on your investment. One thing to take into account when doing this, English players in particular are more valued than any other uh, country, probably because the English players are hyped up. I, my personal opinion is they're better than or they're not as good as they think they are. And throughout history of the last 20 years, in the real world transfer market, English players will cost far more than any other nationality. And that will have a deciding factor when British players or English players in particular come up on this list. So there's something else to take into account. How you want to go through this list again is obviously down to you. And a lot of that is going to be down to budget. But once you found a player who've taken your interest, then just Google and find out as much information as possible. Get back onto Soccerverse website, and the aim of the game is to try and find these good players when they're rated low. And then when the score update happens in July or every 6 months, if they've moved to a better club, etc., then those ratings are going to go up. And theoretically, the value of the shares should go up. I've not looked 100% fully into this, but I'm assuming because the game has been out 4 or 5 weeks, people have snapped up the better players, so they've become more expensive than when they first come out. So like I said, I plan on using this technique in the next batch when they're released, which again I think is July. I've got no doubt if you go further down the list, I've already identified a few which people can see in my portfolio, that I believe that have got good potential to make money further down the line. Because like I said, I'm playing Soccerverse for the long game. I'm not looking to come in here and get out within 6 months and double my investment, because it's just not going to work like that from what I can see. I'm planning 5, 6, 7 years ahead, and budget obviously allowing, I want to get as much influence in as many players to spread the risk. I'm sorry, because like I said, you only need one or two to break through massively into the game, and I can see if you get on these players early that the returns could be sensational. There are other football websites similar to Transfer Market, but a few other things you might be or interested in, especially with transfers, in regards to what I'm saying in terms of player ratings getting updated. If they move to a better club, my understanding is the higher or the better the club, that already their rating's going to increase just because of that. So the transfer rumours could be a key part, especially closer towards the summer months in real life when transfers will take place. Just have a play around with this site because there's so much information. Transfer Market give a percentage of what they believe the chances of a transfer happening. So again, it's not 100% accurate, but if it's fairly high, then the likelihood is there's legs in the story and it could potentially happen. So that again could be massive if you're looking for a player who could move to a bigger club. Right, I've rambled on enough. Like I said, I'll put the link below. Any questions, obviously just ask, not an issue. And good luck with your journey, guys.